if it's not fitting in the shop, it will not be fitting when you wear it. In a bit to want to meet my targets of upgrading the system, I won't go and say this anymore. I will intentionally have in mind. If you don't put your foot down as to choices that you want to make, you end up going for second class.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Talk Back. I go by the name Johnson Arinze, popularly known as AJL Music. And as you all know, this Talk Back is just based on making music and other creative arts relevant to the body of Christ and beyond. And here again, we still issue the disclaimer that, of course, this podcast is not made to drag the body of Christ. We're not attacking anyone. We're not attacking the church. We're not calling names for evil narrative or wrong narratives. No, it's a win for all of us. One win for one is one win for all, and a crack for one is a crack for all. So just take note. All conversations will be built within rebuilding solid foundations of the music system in the church, as it should be, and it's something that's going to be beneficial for us all. So furthermore, before we begin, just follow us on all our social media platforms. So this video is showing live on YouTube, AJL Music TV. But nevertheless, follow us on all our social media platforms. On Instagram, we have the Talkback One. Same thing with X, Talkback One. On TikTok is d.talk.back. I'll say that again, d.talk.back. On Facebook, follow us, the Talkback. Right. So our guests for this episode is someone that I have observed and respect for his amazing work and delivery in making music relevant in so many churches that he has served, making the authenticity of the music in the choir solid. And he has been a music director for a long time, for a very long time, with so much experiences and prolific skills in music directing. And we're going to have so many conversations in that line. But let me introduce to you someone I respect and honor. Let's welcome MD Wilfred Ayo. Nice to meet you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, I know we have a lot of deep conversations into this. So let me start by asking, how long have you been directing music?
Okay. Wow. 99, actually 99. Call it. So this year we'll make it 25 years. Yeah.
1999. How old was I then?
Yeah.
I've not even gotten to a teenage age then. What?
I've been in the game actually for quite a long time.
Wow.
Something I don't tell people, but when I was young then, I'm still young now, but then put some mileage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how was it like for you at that early stage?
Yeah, at the early stage, at that 99, I was directing older people. Yeah, I was directing adults, in a big choir. And then I also had younger folks who were maybe a little older, but then was challenging. But I think one thing I had going for me was I had knowledge. Okay, so I already had music going for me from all the way from primary school. I did sheet music. And then, I studied music for a while time, before I started directing. So I already had music theory. So I went into music directing, music theory, and found my way. And then shortly after 99, I got admission into university in 2000. So I just started directing choir, all of that, And then I came out, I still continued, and it's just been there.
Oh, yes, that's quite amazing.
Yeah, thanks.
But didn't you feel any form of insecurity as to you directing people? How was it like? How was the experience with them? I mean, older people, usually want to look at that with this mobile call directors.
Yeah, so the choir had the likes of my parents. Yeah, well, sort of a big choir anyway. Had my parents in it.
your parents were there.
Parents in the car, yeah. They were in the car.
And you were directing your
It
parents.
is there. Yeah.
So which means they're singing off and all of that.
Uh,
Are you going to correct them? Are you going to?
well,
Is it not something that okay? They will just bear with it and in their mind they don't give you one eye like more Richards.
well, somehow, you know, they saw the music talent, you know, very
Okay.
low, and then pushed us. I say us because I have my ministry brother who was also a musician, but then I also grew in it quickly, took it gradually, began to learn. You know, there's just something about they see that this person has it. They just allow you blossom in it. Let's keep going. So it was not so much about you telling them what to do. They just think it that okay, he knows. Right.
Oh, that's a huge, massive support
Yeah.
from the perspective of family.
Yeah.
And because for some of us, we knew what we went through family-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, and the idea of doing this with people who are older than you, yeah, it's really a lot because I remember my own time, I learned keyboard at a very tender age, and I was still in the children department in the church where I learned keyboard, and there was a time in service where the main musicians are nowhere to be found, and the pastor would be like, "What of that guy that's learned this in the children department? Go and call him. Let's come and play the keyboard." And when I was on after the pastor met me, he said, "Don't let me not see that children department again." You know, that was how my my gifts that God has given me took me out of children department, even when I was still in that, teenage age, so to say.
Yeah.
And I started working with adult choir, and then trust me, I didn't even want to let them know how old I was because because but then it has given me exposure to maturity to a large extent, how they think, their perspective to that.
True.
And we are going to really, go deep into that. So let me ask, still at that your early stage, like, how was relating with them? No, not just beyond music, because like you said, I mean, for your parents, they saw that, okay, this person has this, and, they give you a wide support of you letting you do your thing.
Yeah.
And, them responding to whatever counsel or whatever instruction you give in that music area. So aside music, how was your, relationship with those elderly people now? Of course, your parents, of course, they understand it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other ones who are older than you, how was your administrative relationship with them in terms of leadership and all that?
Yeah. So for someone like me, I kind of want to say that I had like, even though I was young, I had like an old man's brain.
Okay.
So I grew up around mature people. So it's just like what you were saying. I may not tell you my age, but the way I related with you, you probably just think I was your age mates. You understand? Yeah. So at the time, so I dealt with a couple of them, just very freely, very maturely. And because one thing stood out, there was a gift. So when the gift was there, it operated in that capacity, regardless of whether, this guy is small. If you could share something, you could share. Nobody brought you down because you were young. Yeah, moments when you would show some juvenile delinquencies and they would just spank you. But there are other times when, if you acted in your capacity as whatever, they just looked at you and carried you like that, regardless of your age. I mean, they actually knew you were young. There was no gainsaying about that.
You could see it.
Yeah, you could see that you're young, you're just small and all of that, yeah. But then when you had to function in whatever capacity, that respect was given.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying there was no form of resistance?
No,
at that time?
No form
of resistance.
For all the way encouragement. The pastor of the said church was also, I can't say he was a music person. He loved hymns and loved to sing. So anything to encourage anybody who had the heart to either play or sing, you go all the way.
All right then. I mean, trust me, that early start was great because I wish I had that kind of early start. I'll probably be more than where I am now. Trust me, because for some of us, our early start was so rough.
Yeah.
Because lots of us have our own unique experiences, how we dealt with things, how we're able to pull through despite the challenges to get to where we are now. So, but I also believe that, of course, along the journey, challenges came, oppositions came as to you're directing in choir. And we'll get to that point. But before then, I want to ask, what's your view on how a church choir should be from the place of a music director?
Church choir. I think, is it in terms of structure or in terms of technicality?
Everything.
Wow.
Well, let me be precise. What's your view on how the Nigerian church choir should be from the place of music director?
Okay, now let me give different perspectives. Now it depends on the culture play in a system. So you can be in a church where they might not be very Western influenced.
Westernized.
Yeah. So and you have that culture. And you probably also have that local upbringing as well. So for me, I just think that it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of situation. You work with what the system is given. Now, so if for example, now I'm supposed to serve in a particular church or ministry, and the system governing that place is in purely local, local contents, I must get my mind that, okay, this and this and this and this is what is obtained in this system, and I plan to work in that system. Now, especially if the set person there tells you, this is how we work, this is what we do, this is what we do. Now, you don't have to be able to reposition yourself and your mind to say, okay, this is how this system works. So give them what it demands. Now, except they now give you a free hand to work. Okay, we do all kinds of music here. Now, in that kind of system, first off, we're talking about musicians, we're talking about singers. In the past, I have had to bring in musicians into church, especially when I'm auditioning, and then I audition maybe a pianist. And there's an expectation of a pianist I'm looking for based on a set goal in my mind, based on what I know I'm going to be achieving in the course of our work in that set ministry. Even if it is, if the objective or if the goal of the keyboardist or the pianist is to hit 10 and he hits 9.5, if he doesn't hit the 10 without sentiments, like you said, I would judge.
Yes.
Because that 5 will later meet you in front and judge you.
Exactly.
Especially if that person is not willing to pay the price to grow during the course of the work. And me, by experience, I've known one musician starts, they just relax. There's that place where everybody kind of relax.
I might just help us there.
So they just keep walking. But at the beginning, there's that ginger. Do you understand? So for me, in terms of standard for that kind of system where it's a level playing ground where everything is open, we do Western songs, we do local songs. First off, the singers have to have an ear for music. They have to know what they're doing. They have to know what they're doing is that they have to hear music. There are several parameters for, taking a singer into a choir. They must meet all those criteria. Now, somebody might be asking me a question like, okay, and so are you saying that you can't take people who are not very perfect?
Exactly, because there are church people who there are members who they just love to sing. Like they can't sing. There's a difference between I love to sing and I can sing. What you're describing now is for those who can sing.
Who can sing. Now, so the thing is this, because by experience, I've had to take in persons who give us, I can do this thing. I don't have this, I don't have that. Out of 6 options, I can do 1, 2, 3, 4. But the remaining 2, as we go along, we will do it. And we've taken them with that baggage in the hopes that 5 and 6, they will work on it. And then when we got in, they're still doing 5. They've not even entered 5.5. They're still there. They're still that 5. And then that 5 is giving us a struggle. It's impacting upon the work negatively. It's not helping us move. So my motto has been, I used to have a friend. So I went to look for a house many years back. And then she said to me, I saw a house. I didn't like the house. So I called her to tell her, this house, I don't really like the house. It's nice, it's this, but, and then she said a statement that I can't forget. You see, if it's not fitting in the shop, it will not be fitting when you wear it.
Exactly.
You know this thing of you wear a shoe and they say, no, the shoe will expand. So over the years, I've had to take those kind of compromises. That, no, we'll go run out, don't worry. And then you go in.
And she does everything.
And then, so because you see, most times we forget that music is not, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. I just told you 25 years. There's a lot. It takes a lot to learn music.
Yeah.
Somebody can tell me he's a music director of 5 years, no problem. You understand? He might actually at best still be at my level, but for him to be at my level, having done 5 years, he has to do the work. You can't escape it. Do you understand? So those are the issues.
So it's really not how far, but it's how well.
Yes, those are the issues. So the thing I get to tell people, for me, I personally don't like to compromise because I end up seeing that it shoots me in the leg. So if I had known, I wouldn't have. Not that the person is bad. It's just that with the goal in mind, with the objective in mind, if you don't put your foot down as to choices that you want to make, you end up going for second class. You understand? And then inhibiting the process, the goal, your mind. Those other guys can actually function in settings where, the goal or the demand is not so much. But if you come to some other grounds, I remember, so let me make this point. I remember going for an auditions in a very, very top-notch ministry.
Okay.
And they were top-notch. I knew my value, what I had to bring to the table was not there. I mean, I was playing piano at the time. And I knew inside of me that I just wanted to go there and serve in that church. But I knew the level where I was and where they were was far. But I pushed myself to just go and try the auditions in the hope that I could still get in there. So I got in there. They gave me a song. That song had about 5 key movements. I think it was Sharp Back.
Okay.
By Baron King. Many years back. I remember, it was quite a long time. And they gave me the song. I tried. I couldn't move past 2-3 keys in that song. There's a lot of chords and a lot of transitions and everything. And it was tough at the time. Fast forward, maybe like 15 years after, I come to meet the same guy. And we're having an event, a very big event. And I was one of the directors in that event. And the guy too was also a director in that event. And then when we were jamming, and then he made a statement and said, you really play nice chords. And I was like, wow, that's that. And I called him, I said, do you know that? So 3 years ago, you auditioned me and told me to go back because I couldn't meet up. Whatever. I said, is he you're the person? I said, what? Because when they told me to go back, I was offended. I had to go back and work. And then I came back and he was excited that almost only that I auditioned. Do you understand that kind of thing? So the thing is, it's not somebody telling you, you can't sing. People shouldn't get offended. It's for your growth, for your own process. I know somebody who a keyboardist that I got to the church. He was not so good. He was literally forced into the system. And I took him in with everything. And then we kept walking, but we kept not achieving our goals. His part of the play was always faulty and all of that. And I'll try to tell him, and he will get angry and everything. Fast forward, he had to go to South Africa for some reason.
Okay.
Relocated, moved to South Africa, and was now in a church where they were never learned about music. They were very professional. So one of those days, this guy chatted me up on Facebook to say, hey boss, that's thing you tell me that time.
Exactly.
I don't to say I hear of that time. I know for the West.
It's just funny that
you get so that thing. So that thing we would have avoided.
Yeah.
When you'd have listened and taken instructions, we didn't avoid it. So those are the things. So for me, I just think it's about let's stick to pick the best, pick best fits for the system so that you don't begin to have issues.
Okay, so all of this is just basically for us to know that based on your own perspective of what the choir should be, these are the things you're going for, and you're not going to settle for less for that.
Yeah.
So that means it could be that the people who are coming for auditions, they may not have an orientation of what you really want. They just feel with the little they can do, with this multiple field of enter choir.
Yes, also about the setup. There are some setups where, I don't know, for lack of trying to call a name, some big settings you go, you kind of know the church from a distance.
Okay.
You know what's obtainable, the standard. It's just like you're going for a job, and then you know that I'm going to NMPC, for example, and then you tell yourself, NMPC, they might ask me something related to oil. So you now gotta do research. So anybody coming for audition should know that in this kind of church, you have already gone, you've gone to watch their services, you kind of saw them do research. And all of that. You do the research. So when you come in there, it's not going to be nothing short of what they do in the church. So you do your research, you come in expecting that.
But what if the music director wants to, drive in a vision bigger than the template that's already set?
Also, so at the end of the day, it's still not going to, that vision, even though a notch higher.
A notch higher, yes.
It's not going to still go away from that culture, that excellent culture. Yeah, that excellent culture. Do higher. Yeah. Okay. Because so whoever is coming in has to prepare.
Definitely. So from what you said now, if the music director is going like a notch higher, that means if the people had got to research and okay, they understand within the culture of the church and all of that, and when they come for audition, and they are kind of surprised because they know that, okay, what they are coming for is something bigger than them. So they really have to work
really hard,
to meet up.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. So guys, you heard, if you want to be under this man's supervision, if you catch him in any church, say you want to join the choir, just know that you have to be up and doing on your craft. Musicians, singers. If not, meeting somebody like this, you can hear from what he's explaining.
I think
at some point, I didn't even want to go because, I mean, from what he has said so far, shows to a large extent of what his music experience is. So you want to work under this kind of person, just know that you have to be up and do it. And trust me, let's keep emotions aside. Like you said, it's all for the growth. So if they come and they don't really fit in, they shouldn't see it as somebody's being harsh on them or wicked on them, because this mindset of so many Nigerians thinking that when they see professionals like us, they feel these guys are full of themselves, they have pride, just to, I mean, what would you say about such people?
Yeah, so the thing is, I don't know if I've ever been in that kind of situation, because I've always grown up with people who were way advanced than I was. I mean, I grew up in Lagos, and I met all kinds of human beings, older people. I mean, probably older than me, like 10 years.
Okay.
And then you probably went under their tutelage. Sometimes not even asking them, shall teach me this or teach me that.
Oh, wow.
You just went and observed. You know, but I think there's that thing of people, I don't know what to use now. Maybe an entitlement mentality.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that the dispensation has changed. You know, I used to tell people that I would go long distances trying to, in the days when we had cassettes.
Yeah, cassettes.
You know, I remember meeting a very huge mentor at a concert, and he was so revered. You know, he came for that concert. I mean, there was no, and I'm talking in the 90s. You know, I met him. We didn't have his number. The best he gave me was his address. And so I had to leave where I was staying to go and look for him. It was a long distance. And you know how you go and visit somebody who's like a revered person, and you don't meet the person at home. We had to wait. And the guy didn't come back. There was no phone. The only phone you had then was Nitel. Wow. So you could only call, you could only wait for him. He didn't give me any mobile number, so I had to wait. So he came back at about, say, 9. And then we had parents we were living with. And then, I mean, you're going to have, I can't count how many times they locked us out at night because we went out for a program and came back very late. Let alone go and visit somebody and then come back. And that's enough you get. But the joy of that, you went to see somebody who was higher than you, and you got, sometimes they didn't even teach you anything, just instructions. Do this. When you just work hard. And all of that, there was no internet. But now you have a lot of internet now. You have a lot of technology now. You have a lot of YouTube now. And then you just tend to see the level of massive work we did back
there.
in the day.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are not doing that
Now. It's the new
it is everything. You
technological
get that kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So
and it is expected to be even easy.
it's easier now. Yeah.
Like
Because at the time there was nothing.
There was nothing. Yeah.
There was nothing.
It should be easy now.
Yeah.
But-
So I think that on one part, when resources are a lot, people tend to relax. When things are shortage, people tend to, this is all
comedian
I have
said that
to
thing.
fight
Say,
for it.
one comedian said that thing. Say, when you're hungry, you will discover your talent.
So that's pretty much how it is, and it has begun to affect general
Okay, so
decisions.
let's talk about the laxity you just mentioned now, because I know that maybe too many resources can be a major factor, but then there are people who are well grounded to the point that now that too many resources are there, they know what brought them to that point, and they know they still have to keep to it to even grow better or higher. So I mean, major resources, while major resources might play a major role, but don't you think it could also be that a lot of people are yet to have the orientation of how putting in the work in music? Don't you think a lot of people don't have that orientation? Because I mean, you talked about how you grew up being in a setting where you didn't have much of resistance, so people were willing to work and grow. I mean, there are systems where people don't have that privileges.
Yeah.
They didn't have that opportunity, so they just do music for what they think they can do it for, and coming to embrace a new system of doing music better seems to be a struggle for them. In fact, in most cases, that's caused strife, that's caused envy, fight, and all of that between leadership, between them and church, and all of that. So, now that you can tell is not a thing of them having major resources, is a thing of them knowing that they are yet to have an orientation of how it is or what the standard is.
Okay, let me say something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed that they are very. When I was growing up learning an instrument, because I played the keyboard.
Yeah.
If you come to church, if you look at where the musicians sit, you can see like there's a drummer on the drum. You can see like 3-4 drummers
waiting
who are waiting to play. You can see like 2 keyboardists waiting to play. Some guy, and they don't know if they will have the opportunity that day.
Okay.
So what it says to you is hunger. That's what we had back in the times.
Exactly.
That's one. 2, there's a death in mentorship.
Okay.
I told you how I would take my last dime, I will go long distances to go and look for somebody that I'm not sure I'll put in house to teach me something. Sometimes I didn't know I'll get this, I'll not even be taught. His advice will give me.
Okay.
So we have it's either there's a lack of mentorship, people not having time for people to mentor. Okay. These days I get to see people who come to me cry, they want to learn this, they want to learn this, and I'm very open to teach because I remember how I started too. So I think that there's a lack of mentorship.
Okay.
So the other day I was in a place and there was no keyboardist in a particular church.
Okay.
Then they kept crying about having to get a keyboardist. And I just started thinking to myself that, was this a serious though? To get to a point where they're looking for keyboardists to play in a church, it's a problem. Because back in the days, you had like 2-3 people who were learning. Who were hoping that they would just come and be the next person that will come. Do you understand why there was one senior bros on the keyboard who was championing, who were looking as mentor? Do you understand? But right now, we don't have mentorship. And sadly enough, we also have musicians and singers who are not also looking up to other people for mentorship.
That's because there is a reason for that. And we are going deeper into this conversation. So why I mentioned that was because we have cases where music is not being prioritized.
Okay.
We have cases where people's narrative about music seems to be funny, dramatic, weird, and sadly I would say not suiting to the ears, because it truncates and destabilizes those who have passion for music.
Okay.
They begin to have a different view to life. rather than pursuing their course. There are environments like that. I mean, like you said, you had the privilege of, being around people who encourage you for, not all of us had that privilege, really. There's, for some of us, I mean, depending on the church, the pastor may probably not see music as anything relevant. In fact, imagine growing under a church where, you can tell that this pastor growing up, I don't think he appreciates music, he likes music to that point. So when he wants to do ministry, it just feels, what's the relevance of putting music there? In fact, for some pastors, they can go without instrumental, go without you singing, just come do the word and go.
Yeah.
There are some people, based on the fact that they don't see the relevance to music here, they feel, it's not just to sing songs, it's not just to play.
They don't really prioritize.
They don't really prioritize the music. So, there are people who have gone through that in a bid to want to do music and do it passionately. They've been through such environments where it has really truncated and destabilized their passion. So, it could also be the reason why they don't have that desire to grow anymore, because there was a time where that desire was there, but because they are in environments where they don't, see that opportunity to grow. What do you have to say about that?
Well, so it's a question of what's your goal? What's your objective? What are you trying to achieve? So if you're in a system where it looks like you're not being encouraged, okay. So let me case in point. So now there's this story that comes to my mind. So as not to paint it like I make it look like I had it all rosy. So
yeah.
Yes,
I know, because 25 years you didn't have it all rosy.
So I had it.
Maybe early stage. Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah, I had it on stance, and then I grew up. I started, like I said, I was a pianist before.
Yeah.
I started becoming a 5K music director. So I grew in the ranks and all of that. And then I've been in a system where your pastor tells you, come down from the stage, you're playing rubbish. Do you understand that kind of thing? You're playing rubbish. Or you don't know what you do. And then your friends that know you know that this guy is the big deal, is the real deal. They know you're good. That nobody fights it. But the third person there. So I usually,
and that's not even coming from a place of that he knows music where to play rubbish.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's about how do you handle rejection. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so that same person has gone through that kind of thing, not once, not twice. Even sometimes where you have somebody from an outside guest pastor even tell you, who's that person? Tell the person that I don't want that guy on the keyboard. I've had that kind of thing. And then some persons can hear that kind of thing and their life is ended forever. Their ministry is ended forever.
Exactly.
But we still kept coming. In fact, I think I got an award for the most resilient member in my choir one time, because I never took no for an answer. The more I kept hearing no's, the more I'll take it as an opportunity to go and walk. They are saying something, don't discountenance it. Go back, check it, walk. That's the attitude. Go back, work on it. They might not be saying anything that looks reasonable, but the truth of the matter is that most times they might actually sound like they are wrong. But I just one day just stood and I said, God, show me this thing that they are saying that is. I know I sounded good. People told me I sounded. Well, this thing they are saying, there's something. Really, there's something. Yeah. And really, I worked on that thing. And you believe that thing gave me my first international breakthrough.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because I did not take offense. I went back, worked on it, and Holy Spirit showed me, you need to work on this aspect of. In fact, I was playing one day, and then one of my pastors was singing, and then he had been complaining to me about that same thing. But he's my man. He would just joke about it and leave. But he did tell me. But he could not tell me, oh, Wilfred, is this thing that you do that is a problem?
Oh, wow.
And then one day I was just playing and I did something. Immediately I did that. I said, maybe this is the thing. I looked at him, just said,
okay, so
I knew it. I know, but this is the point.
Yeah.
I had been praying about it.
Okay.
God opened my eyes, showed me this, because it began to disturb me to the extent that an outsider will come and tell you. I said, no, this is not normal. You get so, but I would have been wallowed in my pride and said, no, they know I'm good. They know who are they? That kind of thing. And then you stay there, and then you don't work on it.
You don't work on it.
And then you go to other places, and then they keep telling you the same thing. They keep telling you the same thing.
That shows you that you have a lot of work.
Exactly. Do you understand? So it's also the attitude thing. How do you handle the rejection? It's not every rejection, it's not every feedback that is the negative one. Some are positive. They might appear negative in the face, but it's positive in the long run. Because at the end of the day, it tends to build some character in you.
Exactly.
Makes you better. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I mean, so, but then, when that's fun, right? It can be dicey. And I can tell why it can be dicey because while God can direct your steps on how to cope in such environments, another thing is for you to realize that sometimes you can be in an environment like that where what is needed is just something they are used to. So there's no room for growth, there's no room for advancement. You just give them what they are used to so that it can be safe. You can't face any form of attack or rejection. But in a bid to do that, unknowingly for you, your tribe, you are also depriving yourself to build the authenticity of the music that you should be developing.
Yeah.
And so if you're not careful, being in that environment for a long time, you just end up pleasing people and you don't know when you are already off the radar. And that's because based on the orientation that they have, maybe for those environments, they don't really see music beyond, they don't really see music beyond their level of thinking. I mean, with the way we ought to do music now, we should occupy some global sectors in the world. But maybe in such an environment, they don't see it that way. And sometimes, without you knowing, you don't know where you are already going obsolete just because you want to please a particular people. And trust me, such environments can be toxic because, and that brings me to my next question. I know a part where you know that, okay, this is your own challenge, this is your issue, and you have to sort it out yourself with God. Like you said, you've been to several places and they are complaining about the same thing. You know that you are the problem and you have to work on that. I personally don't have a problem with that. What about some systems where, I mean, without you knowing yourself, it could be toxic. And one thing about toxic environments, once you stay there for long, that place becomes your comfort zone. You won't even know when you yourself become toxic because I am of the opinion that nobody grows in a toxic environment.
Okay.
For your own case, God has helped you to navigate through it. But there are other cases where God might just be telling you, I think it's time. You've outgrown this place, right? You've outgrown this place, and no matter what you do, no matter how well you've gone to research to see how you can do what you do to make things suitable for those people or comfortable for those people, you still get the rejection. So what would you do in that situation?
Yeah, so for me, my life has always been a life of transitions.
Okay.
Maybe not too much transitions, but you know, in my earlier times, I think I've been in ministry where I served like 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been in ministry, I've done like 7, 8 years. You know, I'm not the one that is given to, you know, moving. But I also begin to get the feeling when I know it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that feeling. Sometimes it comes with trouble. It comes with a lot of heated issues where you can no longer take it. That does not mean that there hasn't been trouble since. There have been trouble since. But there's the trouble that tells you, Shaman, begin to
start.
You understand? And sometimes those troubles might not really be, it's not as if it's no big thing. It's just that you just feel on your own. Things will not be happening.
You just be happening.
Do you understand? So you just have to, you know, be sensitive to know when you have outgrown. Because you see, for some persons, while being in that toxic system, they are also growing. So I've been in a place where, well, directing music, the music was, the system of music there is like, they want you to grow, but yet they want you to calm down. They want you to grow, yet they want you to calm down. So the system is unknown to them. This is me interpreting what the system is like. You know, you have deep, big dreams ahead of you. You want to see how you can take this music. Sometimes you just come to rehearsals today, we're going to do this, and then you plan stuff that you want to do with them. And then you bring out the stuff, and then somebody comes and just literally waters down the efforts. Okay, that's one. Two, sometimes you have to be maybe accountable to maybe a set man. They have to go through You know, maybe the songs you want to do, you know, they say, okay, said man says, okay, I want to see your songs. You have to bring your songs, I can show them, and all of that kind of stuff. And then they vet it. And then maybe you've planned one hit song. I say, where? And then they now see that hit and say, nah, this won't fly, sorry. And then they strike it off. And then I'm the first students whereby I've, in a bid to want to meet my targets of upgrading the system, I won't go and say this man. I will intentionally rebel, and I'll go and I will go and do what's in my mind, knowing the outcome will be good in the long run. Sometimes I have to take decisions for them in the hopes that when I conclude it, because sometimes some of them are never patient to wait for the process to get a good result.
Because they don't understand.
Because they don't understand, So sometimes when I push, I realize that when I push that good deed I'm trying to do, it comes out good. They say, wow, great, they're going to celebrate you. But they were never patient at the beginning. If you tell them that this was what you were going to do, they will frown at it, fight, do everything to frustrate it. So sometimes you have to be very tough, close your eyes and do. Sometimes those persons will also be squeezing their face in their rehearsals and not care. Okay. You get, so in those moments, as a music director, you would be firm, you'll be very firm. And I'm not saying straight out rebellion, no. Sometimes, you know, you'll be firm yet still be nice. Be firm still. It's not about emotional intelligence, knowing how to handle such situations. Some other times you really have to go and meet them and show them and explain why that choice for that job. Can let me give you a case in point. So I had this person I had to be reporting to at intervals for songs, for her to approve and everything. And then she travels a lot. And then she will go see this particular record, maybe by Fred Hammond or something. And then she comes to me, Wilfred, there's this song I saw in America, beautiful song, blah, blah, blah. That song happens to be a song and I brought to her a while ago and she rejected.
Oh, wow.
I said, well, Mama, that was a song that I gave you, I said we should sing, that you said, so you serious that this song? I said, yes. So when I tell you that was a real chorus, it happened not once, not twice, not 3 times. So I said, okay, since this is how it is, we'll follow the back door. So that was my own way. And it worked severally for me. I would just close my eyes, make that big decision. And knowing that it was the interest of it. Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes it also backfired.
Yeah, this is the backfire part now I want to go into because, I mean, in your case, several times it's worked. In some other people's case, several times it has backfired. Even when at the end of the day they see that the result is
even
when at the end of the day they see with their 2 eyes that the result is good. So have you ever been in such situations?
It's quite
me, I'm the school of thought that look, I don't believe anybody can grow in a toxic environment. I don't believe that yet. Maybe if I see occasions like that, I will stop saying it.
It depends on how toxic
let me give an instance. I mean, let's just say in a bush or an abandoned place. Of course, you know where you go to roads where you see farmers farming on a particular land and all that. You see there's some places where they cultivate their stores and you can't pass because things are going on. Plants are growing. Photosynthesis is taking place, you know. And have you ever been to a point where you can see a walkway, you can see a walk road bush, you know that people do pass this place. If you notice, you see that if they pass there frequently, nothing grows on that ground. Because people, it's just a walkway. People do walk that way. This is not a ground that has been walked on or tarred. Normal sand ground. If you keep walking there, if people keep walking there, nothing grows. But leave that ground after a while where people have not passed there for like in months. When you come back, you see that grasses are growing. And they say, what does that tell you? In a place where people are trying to grow, trying to advance, and they see that whatever they bring to the table is always being shut down. Man, I consider that as a toxic environment for me because you can't, it is when they leave you to do your thing for a while, that is when they will see growth. But in a bit to make every effort to do what you want to do to make the system better, for every little suggestion you bring, they bring it down. For every little idea you bring, they bring it down. For every risk that you take, they still bring it down. So how do you deal with such?
So for me, one thing I've learned recently is dealing with what we call strife. So let me explain.
Yeah.
So I told you how I was rejected sovereignly.
Yeah.
You know, told the most despicable statements. You can't play a pair of bass, calm down, this kind of, matters like that. And sometimes some toxicity is needed for the journey ahead. Some,
not all.
You need to know where, and I can't tell you where. You are the one that will know that place. You need to know when now toxicity has now become a pain in the neck. Yeah. You need to know there are some that are needed to prune you because of the journey ahead. What you have to do. You're going to have to manage, baby. You're going to have to deal with the global of persons that they're trying to test your ability to manage. You see, this thing about singing, choir, everything, directing, it's not about people management.
Exactly.
It's not even those, forget the singing and all the technicalities. It's about how do you manage people? How do you handle people? Their emotions, their reactions, even whether top, below. It's all of that people management thing.
Yeah.
So my advice basically would be that try as much as possible to know, especially in a spiritual setting, I mean, you pray and all of that, trying to know when you should leave. Try to know, because when you leave, everything will be kind of glorious, because now you leave and now go into, so that you don't build what I call strife. Where, there's no resentment. Exactly.
Because
no reason.
I know that in a toxic environment, if you stay
nothing functions, nothing goes.
If you stay there for too long, you won't know when you become toxic yourself.
You start affecting other people. You start disturbing.
You know when, like, in fact, it is even dicey that you can even start behaving like
them. Yeah.
Because I believe that nobody thrives in a toxic environment except the toxic people themselves.
Yeah.
Except the toxic people themselves, because they're the ones that make the place toxic. So I understand your perspective when it comes to building up. Of course, there are issues I've faced, and I know that, okay, it's because of I'm not yet at the place where I want to be. I'm not yet at the level.
Maybe they're trying to build character.
So they're trying to build character, or even competence, or even anything close to that. I understand. And I know, okay, if I am to be sincere with myself, I know, okay, this is an area I need to work on.
Yeah.
And in the bit of that, of course, it's not a big deal to apologize. It's not a big deal. I'm human. I'm not perfect. And I'm not even trying to be perfect for anybody. It's not like I'm coming to this life to please anybody. I don't even intend to be in anybody's good books. My name is in the book of life. So, what? But I know that, I mean, the Bible says, as long as it depends on you, be at peace with everyone. So it is maturity to know when it is your responsibility or it's your fault to work on something. And there's no big deal acknowledging it. And we'll come to that because character is really, really an issue in the choir. And then there are other cases where you have tried, you have done. So, I mean, that other part, as to knowing that, okay, you have outgrown a certain system, you have outgrown a certain policy. It could even be God letting you know, look, it is time for you to move. And until you realize that, I mean, any opportunity for that place to be uncomfortable for you, God allows it. So that you
sometimes you'll do a lot of things will be deliberate.
Will come to realize.
Just like how Jonah was in the belly of the fish by fire. Anything else.
In some cases they will understand. In some cases they don't.
Yeah.
And you have to know where you move regardless. You don't have to wait for them to understand. I believe there are some battles that are only understandable by the soldiers in the battlefield. You who is not in the battlefield, you don't know what's going on there. So the soldiers in the battlefield have to be focused. They don't have that time explaining what is going on in the battlefield. Win first. There's opposition before you. Win first, then you can explain later.
Yeah.
So in life, there are crossroads you get to, there are phases you get to. Nobody understands you. Now you will be at the shoe. Now you know where they should be paying you. So nobody understands your journey. So I feel you should cross the road first. People will be offended, it's fine. People will be disappointed. I mean, disappointment is a constant in life. When I hear people say I'm disappointed in you, I'll be like, excuse me, nobody owes you perfect behavior. You have also disappointed other people too. So, but in that phase in your life where only you understand what you're dealing with, nobody else understands, I feel you should just keep moving.
Yeah.
By the time everything is clear, a lot of things can come later. A lot of people get to understand later.
Yeah.
So, how would it be like for you during those phases in that setting? how would you know when it's time to move, and how will the transition be? In such cases, are the transitions smooth for you, or in some other cases, the transitions are not smooth?
No, it's not smooth. So I've been in a situation whereby I was celebrated. I've been in the transition. You know, I was supposed to move to a bigger place, and then my moving to a bigger place, having spent that number of years, was supposed to be like, wow, you've tried so much for us, you've done so much for, you know, should I say 90%, 60% celebrated my going, 40%, no, 40% celebrated, or 30% celebrated my going, 70%, why is it, that kind of thing, you know, and it wasn't, but much later, everybody understood why.
Exactly.
Much later.
Because
most later was like 3 years, 4 years after.
4 years after. So you have, I mean, after such a long time.
Yeah.
Because people need to understand that it is so okay for us to have a different perspective to things and still be friends. It's normal. It's okay for us to agree on some things and disagree on some things as friends or as people who are maybe close together or something. And it is normal. People should understand that, because we came from different backgrounds, heading to different directions. So there's a point we'll know that, okay, look, at this point of my life, I have to go this way. If I don't go this way, a lot of things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And it is normal for people to understand that. Right.
So let me make this point. I think that there's something, and I started to get into that place a couple of years ago. Many of us are, should I say many of us? A lot of people are quite naive and, should I say ignorant, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
We think that we owe people something in life. So we do a lot of things to please people without understanding that we're on a journey.
Exactly.
You understand? So sometimes maybe you serve in a place or you work in a place, and then you're thinking that you should be moving, and then you say, hey, how will you feel if I move?
A lot of people have made, costly mistakes.
So
because of
how people have cared, how people feel. So you keep yourself, and there's the next level for you, and God is telling you, He's putting up things, He's making things happen. Sometimes even negatively,
that's an opportunity for you
to move, and then you're not seeing that sign. You're telling yourself, hey, how will they move? You've been part of this place for a very long time, you know. And sometimes that how can be 1 year.
Because this thing have made people stay in one place for years,
long time, without making progress. Yes.
You know, I as a musician,
and I've been like that too.
I as a musician, I don't, I have changed trust a lot. And people think, the narrative they see musicians is because of the money. Well, for me, I have a very well understandable history, best known to me, because in growing up in my in several churches, the first church I served, of course, the church where they taught me keyboard, it was a church that was affiliated to Redeem, right? And my desire was just to do good music, be happy about it, and be productive. I was not even really concerned about the money, probably because I was still living under my parents. But the time things got tough, and my parents were like, blessing, you collect money for this thing. That was how my journey of collecting salary started. It was not in the picture. If I was going to make money from it, I know. And at that young age, I know where I will drive the productivity, the business part of it. But then I didn't expect that to start from the church. But because of the financial situation in the family, everybody started to do something. She said they play keyboard. When they do that in Colombia. And I didn't know how I was going to be collecting money from the church that taught me keyboard. That was really, really serious. And although, I mean, my pastor then, Pastor Chris, God bless you wherever you are watching this, God bless you. I mean, I know him to the point that I know his children. I mean, we attended like the same secondary school. So I was able to meet him and let him know, because I was still young and he knew what was going on. I told him, I said, see what my parents are saying and all of that. I said, okay. He said, okay, tell them we'll give it to some of them. But that still didn't work out, because my parents were kind of biased due to some personality. Just go to somewhere else because they feel maybe somewhere else will pay you better. They have that notion that okay, this one way they teach you, but if you don't give you too much, you know. So I went to somewhere else. They were giving me small stipends every week, you know, but my money was not the problem. Problem was just getting better musically, and that's what they were doing about music. While I appreciate Arara because I mean I'm an Igbo guy. I came from the East, but I just knew if I'm really going to thrive in this music, it will be beyond this. The day I got fed up, I told them I want to do. They say why? They thought it was because of the money. They said you want name your price how much? I said it's not because of the money. As young as I was, I told them it's because I want to upgrade musically. I want to go into other diverse areas of music, and I can't get that. As logical as that may sound, they laughed at it because they don't understand. So to them, it sounds logically insensitive. They just want to do Western. Someone laughed and said, "See this area, you do it." But I stood firmly. I was insulted, and I didn't care. So that was my move, and that was a major move for me transitioning to any church to serve. Once I feel I've outgrown their system, I can't stay there because staying there, it is a destiny sensitive issue to truncate.
Yeah.
So they won't understand, but me, I do. Especially when the cases where I have outgrown the system and I am still willing to see, okay, if there is an opportunity for them to see the need for growth, because I don't grow past this level. So if you're not ready to grow with me, don't drag me back. Let me leave. And that has made me move to several churches that I've gotten the opportunity to grow. But the thing is, when I've outgrown my state there, I was not even thinking anything about spirituality then or word or anything. You know, God in His infinite mercy have carried me through those phases. But all I was thinking in my mind is, I need to be in places where, because learning never stops. I'm very careful of being in a place where you feel like you are the only person that is smart in the room. That is dangerous because when you are not looking to an uplink, an upward person that will take you by the hand and say, look, you can still get better. It's a problem.
Yeah.
And this is what most churches in our setting really don't know. And I wish they can see this, because sometimes if you have the opportunity to grow with a choir in a church and for the choir people to see beyond their comfort zone, I mean, it's a good conducive environment. I mean, why would you change? Especially when you know that they are ready to grow, they are ready to make music productive, they are ready to get better beyond their comfort zone. I mean, why would you change? But when it seems like you're the only one that is ready and they are not ready, and after several talking, several meetings, several persuasions, what would you do? If you keep person out, at some point you move, because I like to be around people where I can learn from. People don't know that. I really don't like to even be a place where I have to be controlling people and tell people what to do. I still have a lot to learn. I still have people who need to guide me by the hand too. In as much as I'm at that position where I should mentor people, I also need to be mentored as well.
Yeah.
Because if you're not careful these days, it will make someone just, you won't know where you'll be drifting apart, and you are just trying to look at how to make people feel. Look, of course, there's a place for being polar, there's a place for showing people respect. I respect people a lot. But when it comes to destiny sensitive matters or more, I will also respectfully tell them the truth is, this is how I think, this is where I should be. And I am sorry to offend you at this point. If I feel the need to do what I have to do in order to grow, then I have to do it. If it offends you, I'm sorry. That has been my mindset, and that has been why more for Lagos I changed church. And if I didn't do that, probably nobody would know AJL music now. Because what I'm doing that people are appreciating. A lot of churches where I've served, I didn't see the opportunity to do that. I didn't see that opportunity to do that. In fact, in a bit to even bring such dynamics of music, they will fight me for it. They will fight me for it. But of course, if I didn't make those decisions, you see. So I know that back then they don't understand, but right now they do. And every church that would appreciate music will know that music has to be fresh every service. People have to do work. People have to grow. And we'll get to the skill part later, because I think we've really talked about a lot on character and finding a balance and to that. But people need to understand that to an extent, lack of competence is also a character problem.
Yeah.
It's a big character problem. And I need us to dive into that from your position as a music director now. you've talked about what a choir should be based on standard technicalities and character. So how were you able to thrive in environments where, because I know a lot of music directors will be watching the show now, so how are you able to thrive in environments where, you know, you have to deal with the church system and the music team, especially when in most cases they seem to be thinking in different directions? You know, you have to stand in as the middleman. The church is saying, this is what I want, and the music teams are telling you, MDC, for us to achieve this thing, these are the conditions you take, and here they are not ready to. So what would be your stand as a music director in such a position? How are you going to handle it?
Okay, so because on the grounds of the music director being, as it were, an employee of the church,
Yeah.
and also maybe the singers also, but I believe you're talking about the singers and musicians.
Both singers and musicians, yes.
So they're also employees of the church. I mean, I won't lie, I've been faced with the kind of situations where, you know, they want you to, and you too, you're also tempted by that, but because the church is also the employer who employs everybody.
Exactly.
So in the past, they will call this thing I'm about to say mutiny in the military. We would, in a bid to want to do music excellently well, beyond what we've seen.
Exactly.
We will plan. You know, okay, let me give you this example. So I had this guy, he's a singer. He's in Canada. So, you know, we had the main choir, and then we had this young people's choir that I was kind of heading, you know, and then I was directing that, you know, and I was using them as my test kits. So bring in innovation. So I was still music director of the full choir, but the young people's choir, I was like a singles choir. So I was heading them. But in that singles choir, I had some kind of, you know, good singers in that choir. So I was using them since I wasn't 100% able to propagate my ideals in the general choir. I used that singles choir to push. Yeah. So I'll try some crazy stuff. So you have one that there was this particular week when the sets, you know, people in charge had traveled. And this guy, a friend of ours, had been rehearsing with us for like 2 weeks. So he just came in and then rehearsed with us. He was our friend. He knew one of us in the group and it was our friend. So he joined church, and then there was no process of coming to the rehearsal. He just knew how he could sing, and he came and joined us and began to sing with us. And he was rehearsing with us. And then one day, I just took one bold decision. I've never done that in my life. He's supposed to go through process. I made him lead praise worship that day. And that was because I wanted to push one song. Unfortunately, should I say fortunately or unfortunately, the lead pastors came in for service that day.
Oh my.
And when he came in, they met the guy. The saving grace was that the guy led powerfully well that day, and the music was on point.
Yeah.
They said, "Who is that guy?" I said, but you know, it came out good. But you know, because it came out good, if it was bad, it would have been terrible. But it was good. And then they kind of, but don't try that next time. That kind of thing. So you know, but so those are one of those moments when I've tried to push, just to be able to sell a narrative.
Exactly.
That this thing is possible. You understand? So sorry, I can't remember that question you asked again.
So I'm asking, what would you do in position of music director where you are trying to balance the concerns of the system of the church?
Yeah. So for me, in that system, I won't lie, many times, because the church is the employer, I side with the church.
Okay.
Because most often than not, in my capacity as music director, I'm also representing the leadership.
Yeah.
I'm representing the leadership, so I cannot be found to be against the leadership.
Definitely.
However, in leadership circles, I can find a way to communicate in a spirit of humility what the salient concerns are. Communicate it intelligently well. See, and you know, this will be, there's where I say it. They'll be like, okay, and then they buy it. So I look for those moments where I just find somebody who I know I can sell the ideology to, instead of now siding with the people who have lesser powers. I don't know if it's in the 48 laws of power. Who have lesser power. If I start with them, become enemies of the system, and then there's a likelihood that they can suck all of us.
They can suck all of us.
Do you understand? So I never get to side the lesser team. I side the stronger team, but I find a way, especially if the concerns raised are legit concerns. Yeah. I find a way to make sure I communicate. I don't just allow them just go and say, you know, that if I know deep within me that those things these people are saying, whether the musicians or the singers are saying, are serious concerns, I find a way to communicate it so that it is well received, and then so that they can take action. However, also there are some situations where, however legit and serious and wonderful those concerns are, I know those, no matter how I present it, it won't be taken.
It won't be taken.
I encourage them to say, you know what, let's keep pushing. Perhaps they might change their mind. And sometimes that's worked. We'll just be impatient to just keep pushing. And because you know, sometimes anything can be very funny. You get to that moment where it's just when you could have just waited a little moment, that desire that would have been met if you had just waited a little. Then we now two storms, and then you start hearing things like, if you guys had done this, we were planning to do this.
Well, I heard that.
Get that kind of thing.
A lot of systems use those statements manipulatively. Not like they really had an intention to do something. So
it's better to be on the side of
So is that what you're saying? Just of course, it's better to be on the side of
because they dictate. They call the shots.
They call the shots. They dictate. They listen.
Yeah.
So, but then again, I feel a lot of these things can be minimized from the foundation level, because let's say you're a music director calling for auditions based on understanding what the church needs. They've told you this is the kind of music we want to project, and these are the kind of people we are looking for to project this kind of music. Because from what you said, the concerns of the singers and musicians now, I can say legitimately they are raising those concerns because I think they're also part of the system. They want to.
I think I know where you're going to with this question. Now, so I was once, I got into a system, you know, based on referral, because they knew I was good. They knew I knew what I was doing, and they told me what the demands were. Oh, want this for one, this for one, this for one, this. I said, okay, fine. And then along the line, they maintained a good number of the things. Let's say they had like 10 things they told me that they wanted to achieve. They maintained a good number of the things that they wanted. But along the line, there are some things that add to the strength of the music we want to create. Okay? Maybe it has to do with venue. Maybe it has to do with equipment. Maybe it has to do with, you know, buying certain equipment or tools that would aid the work. And then when you were in the talking stage, when you were talking with whoever, promises were made. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and do this. And the promises were made in the hopes that, I mean, they're talking about in the next 2 weeks, next 1 month. But at the end of the day, it lingered 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and then it keeps going. And then when you now look like you're trying to react, sometimes it's not well taken. Sometimes it's taken it's met with more promises. Don't worry, we're going to do it. We're going to, and then it keep lingering. But you see, they also don't understand how it affects performance.
Sure.
You understand how it affects outputs. Because when you're not giving your best, they say, okay, you're supposed to be a professional, you're supposed to be doing it. But the reality is, a singer with a good mic will deliver well.
Exactly.
You know, and all of that.
Good musician with good instruments.
It's about sound. It's about, you know, a lot of those things that are very key for the singer's output and performance. And if those things are not attended to, in fact, I dare say that if singers or musicians in a system even if they're not paid very well or never paid at all, if all those concerns are met, they can stay there and sacrifice for you.
Sacrifice, exactly.
Yeah, and deliver for
Because at the end of the day, I feel it's a 50-50 thing. Seriously. And I want to ask, maybe it's just certain, are you sure contract should not be made before commencement of work? Contract should not be issued from your end and from their end.
Normally, from you to them.
Yeah. In as much as they are issuing contracts from them to you, you should also issue contracts as a newsletter from you to them.
In document form.
Yeah, in document form. Because some of these things, I like sustaining quality relationships. And sometimes, depending on our projects, from the onset, I'll tell you, this is what it will take. And I'll let them know if these things are not met, this is what it will result to.
Yeah. So the problem is, most often than not, people are not talking. Have you found one thing? So I have spoken about my demands.
Yeah.
I want this. To get this, we'll do this. To get this, we'll do this. I don't want this type of singer, not because the person is bad. If I get this type, I'm going to spend more time I should have used, the energy I would have used to achieve this level of height in the music.
Yes.
I'll be using it to me, and I don't have that time. I'm sorry to say, but this is what it would take for us to be able to achieve this quality. We need to understand that time is of the essence.
Exactly.
Now, so out of 10 things I would have demanded, and maybe I dropped like about 7, and 3 I did not talk. Along the line, the 3 I did not talk are haunting me. Now, it's bad enough that you did not say the 3, but it's going to be, if I thought there's any word like this, bad enough. If as you go in the process, you don't sustain a conversation to that effect. If you leave it that, okay, so do it. If you don't get to have a sit down talk, remember when we spoke, I said this, I said that, I said this, I said that. If you don't say that, you're going to have a situation whereby they might almost rebuff, whatever you said was true. Like, no, did you ever say that? You know, can look like that. So one thing I have learned is sustain the conversation. Don't stop talking. What you said at the beginning, continue to say. Because human beings will be human beings. Exactly. Then I forget. They might not even remember you ever said that kind of stuff. Because sometimes they'll meet you and they are excited. And they're not hearing. So you need to constantly bring that conversation. And especially the beginning. That is why I talked about auditions.
Yeah, auditions.
You must always say something. Say it at the beginning. Let them be offended at the beginning.
The foundation.
The foundation is already the problem. People are not talking. So we now get into the job. And then no. And actually when you get in the job and you have gone far, you're not talking. It's a problem. So I think one thing I have learned is keep talking. Keep talking. Can be every day, can be every week, but keep talking. Don't leave gaps. If you leave gaps, you're going to create problems.
But all these things, I still feel it should be documented. Like this one's now, like in the document, you can also state there are some things that might be needed subsequently as the job keeps going.
Yeah.
Because whether you like it or not, challenges will come. Things might happen. Emergencies can come in. Some things can go up in church, and maybe an instrument is bad or speaker is bad. Something can just blow. But I was like, what's going on? I thought we had all of this sorted out. I let them, okay. Subsequently, as time goes on, there's every tendency for this to happen. So when that time comes, I feel this is what we need to do and all of that. Because I feel if all of these things are not documented, that's why they will come up and say, no, you did not say that. That was not what you told me. This was what you told me. And these are, and sometimes when you want to bring in contract, when you want to bring in document, they feel like probably you are one, I don't know, I want to find it out. I'm looking for a weird word. They just feel you're not part of them. You don't want to kill a son.
I think that it comes from the place of we are the employer. So the employer has the right or is served with the right to issue you the documents. If you're going to work, and I've worked in a formal organization before. They would always tell you they are the ones that are bringing you on board.
Yeah, I understand. But what if
so what you can do is that as terms of reference in your letter being given, because there are some other things, just like you said, okay, you are the music director in this organization, but there are other functions that we've not told you now. So likewise, there's some other things, side attractions they will put inside. So also you make them know that, okay, please since you don't have the right, they're the ones employed, they're the ones paying you. So it doesn't look like you're the one calling the shots. If not, they'll tell you to pay yourself.
No, the thing is, it's not like we are creating a system where we're the one calling the shots. I won't feel in many cases they need your services, especially when you are good. Of course, I know in most cases they can call the shots because they're the ones paying you. But I feel to an extent, both ends need to come to, let's say, partnership level, right? Some things can be negotiated, but it is still better documented. Why they issue theirs from their end? I feel you as a newsletter should issue from your end. Let them know, okay, based on what you've given, this is what we can possibly work with, and this can be possible where some things are in place. Now, your own is not to make it look like you're the one calling the shots. You are issuing your own based on their demands.
And so, but what I was saying was that, I'm not sure it will be appropriate for us to do a letter. Maybe we can make it verbal, or make the verbal communication.
Of course, not letter. I'm not even saying it could be a letter, but let it just be like, okay, what if it's something that has to do with do remotely and all of that? So instead of it to, make it like something that has to be, it doesn't have to be rigid. But I mean, just write it for document purposes, because issues will come and these things will be used for evidence. Issues come because like what is happening in social media now, court case everywhere, people are struggling royalties with record labels. I mean, so these things too can happen in churches. The fact that we know that it's a church doesn't mean things cannot be handled administratively like this. So I'm not saying we should, give them a contract back or something, but we can tender a template based on their demands and let them know that, okay, this can be done only when it's contentious. And you let them know that, okay, subsequently things can change based on emergencies and all of that. And when they know that, okay, this is what's going to happen, so that when issues come up, they can revisit it for confirmation and evident purposes. They can revisit it. And of course, there are places for negotiations, there are places for reviews.
Sure.
So these things do happen. So I still feel we should go more on this, but definitely another time we'll come to talk about the choir setting, your stand on musicians going for gigs and still maintaining their service in church, and your take on that and all of that. But I think for now, we'll really, really, really talk about so much on, the place of music directing from a church standpoint as regards to the church system character, which will really, 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 really go a long way. So definitely, I look forward to, bringing you here to talk about, oh God, there's so much to talk about in the choir, really, because there are lots of long-standing issues. But definitely, if Jesus tarries, of course, we'll have conversations like that. But I think with this much of what we've, really discussed, I believe that the church will, look into it and see how they can make adjustments from their end. So definitely, what I've taken from this conversation is, first of all, as a choir member, before coming in, if you want to join the choir in an audition process, you have to consider that. Even as a music director, you have to consider that if you're really going to look for excellence, you have to go for the best. It is not negotiable, no sentiments, so that you don't get frustrated in the choir. That is one. Number two, yourself under a church, you ought to do your best to ensure that the system of the church is satisfied based on the demands they make. And you have to go out of your way to ensure that both ends, from the ends of the church system to the ends of the choir, the music team as well, both ends are on a balance. Nobody's offending anybody. Of course, all of you are within the leadership system. So, I mean, in going to God in prayer, your personal devotion, I still believe that God can still give you insights on what to do based on what MD Whitfield has said. And from MD, what's your social media handle? Because from most of these points you've given, I'm sure a lot of people are going to do your expertise on this, because you need to find a system where they can contact you. So what's your social media?
Oh yeah, it's simply at official Wilfred Ayo.
At official Wilfred Ayo. Okay. So guys, get ready. Follow him on Instagram at official Wilfred Ayo. You really need a lot of music directing skills from this man. You can tell from what we've explained and discussed so far. I mean, there's still a lot more that needs to be talked about. So definitely, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Follow us, the Talk Back, on all our social media platforms. Again, Instagram, the Talk Back one, Twitter, X rather, the Talk Back one, TikTok, d.talk.back, and on Facebook, the Talk Back. So thank you for staying with us till this length of time. We really have a lot to talk about, but time is not on our side. But definitely, we're going to see you guys on the next episode. Thank you all, and God bless you.